All right, so today what we're going to talk about is just using AI for learning and support. Now, little disclaimer on this presentation. Last month, Bentley did announce some AI capabilities that are being added to some of our products. We are not covering those capabilities today. That stuff will be covered in more detail next year when those products are released and that functionality is released. What we're going to cover today is just some different AI platforms and engines that are available to help you with learning and training and whatever engineering needs you may need. So we're mainly going to be focusing on Microsoft Copilot, Google Agent Space, Notebook LM, and a couple others. So just wanted to throw that out there real quickly. So we're basically going to focus on just how users would learn using some of these AI tools. So let's go to the next slide here, Robert. So we're going to take a look at just our ecosystem for learning. We obviously have our learning platform. That's learning.bentley.com. That was launched last year, our new learning platform. You could go there and you can view all our on-demand courses and use the simple little search button. But what if you need something more, right? What if you need a more customized searching and learning type of engine, right? So in terms of what Bentley currently has, we obviously have the Bentley Learn. As I mentioned, we have the Bentley communities, which hopefully everybody is a member of the communities and interacting with each other on there and asking questions and looking up things. And we also have docs.bentley.com for just the general help on the software, right? So hopefully everybody knows those three main areas of learning that we have for the users. Let's go to the next slide, Robert. Now let's talk a little bit about learning CAD with AI. Now, one of the reasons why we would want to do this is to help accelerate our rate of learning with our users. So let's go to the next slide here. So let's turn this over to Kyle now. So now I'm going to bring in Kyle Rosenmeyer from VHB, who's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that he's been doing at his company with AI. So Kyle, let's come on in here and share with us your story.
Yeah, absolutely, Scott. Hey, good to see you all. I'm going to turn on my camera just for a minute to wave and say hi, but I'll keep the camera off for most of the presentation. Yeah, we have found at VHB, and I think this is proven out to be true for many firms that have used AI platforms like ChatGPT or Microsoft Copilot with the kind of the customized tools with Copilot Studio. Or really any of the other frontier models. We've kind of put an arrangement of those on the slide here. We've seen many examples proven over now of companies using these AI models to basically distill massive amounts of information on the internet about CAD software to help people improve their understanding of the tools and increase their rate of learning. And that is probably one of the best first steps any organization can take to integrate AI into their day-to-day work, is to do just that, distill down massive amounts of data on the internet into a nice, easy, human-like chat that can help people understand the tools better, understand the products better. And thankfully, we have a lot of, Scott just mentioned the Bentley ecosystem. In addition to the Bentley Learning website, there is a tremendous amount of information about Bentley products on YouTube, on docs.bentley.com, and on Bentley communities. And all this information is accessible to an AI. So just a little bit to kind of understand what's going on with AI. This will help us kind of put into context why AI is good at helping people learn CAD software with the data that is online today. And it's based on text. All the LLMs that we use today are basically text agents, right? It's a chatbot. You type text into it and you get text out of it. Many of you, I'm sure, have seen, ChatGPT being first in 2022, released to market. That was about 3 years ago. And now, many AI labs are saying we've kind of ran out of text on the internet. So really in just 3 short years, these frontier AI companies have basically scraped all the text that is available on the internet. And these LLMs take the vast amount of text that they've archived, and they process the user requests to predict tokens or predict the next piece of text that the user is likely looking for. And that is how they generate the text that you see. It's worth noting, and this is not kind of scientifically measured knowledge, but maybe empirically measured knowledge, is that LLMs retrieve this information on the internet extremely fast compared to a human. So I'd like to, as we kind of go to the next slide here, I'd like you all just to think the last time you needed to learn something about OpenRoads Designer or about MicroStation, and you had to go look for it on the internet, how long did it take you to find your answer? And I want you to think about those moments you've had and compare that when you use one of these AI agents and you ask the same question. How fast does the AI agent return to you the correct answer and the correct source on the internet? It is staggering to see how much faster it works. So let's kind of translate that now to how humans actually learn CAD. Think about the kind of bullet points on the slide here. This is how most of us have learned Bentley products over our careers. We learn a lot from our coworkers. We learn a lot from just trying things, right? Trial and error. We learn from training materials, manuals and videos. We learn a lot from those online searches, right? And then we also learn a lot from examples that we typically get from other people. And AI has a place in all of these learning areas, right? You learn faster from your coworkers who they themselves have a faster ability to retrieve information on the internet. Troubleshooting is excellent with AI. I can't tell you guys how much from personal experience I've found it helpful with AI to take things I'm trying to do in CAD software and tell the AI what I tried and what the outcome was, especially if it didn't work. And those iterations of trial and error really increase as you're talking to an LLM. Training materials are also incredibly easy to produce. A great example is recording a video of yourself doing a workflow in OpenRoads and then using something like Microsoft Copilot to automatically produce a transcript of that video, produce a description of that video, produce chapter separations in that video. All of that is tedious work that you don't have to do anymore with AI. So it allows us to create training content a lot faster. And just a quick peek at something you're going to see later in the presentation, you're going to see something amazing with one of these AI platforms that can turn manuals into wonderful training videos. Obviously, online search, we already covered that. That is extremely fast using an LLM. And examples, there's maybe not so much of a direct change in how AI affects that, but we are starting to see some examples where AI can produce examples for you. And the quick sample I'll give you on that is recently with ChatGPT version 5, GPT-5, I was asking an AI a question about the MUTCD manual. And I asked it a question about a particular sign, and the AI not only answered my question about the sign, but it offered me to draw a diagram of how to place that sign alongside a road. And I said, well, yes, why don't you draw that? And it literally drew a text diagram for me of how far off the side of the road to place the sign. And then it drew a cross-section of how high to mount the sign above the surface of the road. So I thought that was quite incredible and just really the beginning of how AI is going to accelerate the rate of learning. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, Robert. So one quick note on improving the utility of AI. Many of you have probably interacted with some LLM model, some AI agent at this point. I want to just speak for a minute, though, that if you have the opportunity at your organization to access a custom platform like Microsoft's Copilot Studio, you can achieve a new level of utilization with an AI agent by really focusing your time tuning the agent in two areas. One is the prompt, right? This would be the instruction section of Copilot Studio. But at some point with any custom, whether it's a custom GPT on ChatGPT or, AI agent space in Google AI Studio or Microsoft Copilot Studio, for the Copilot agent, you will always have an opportunity to write a prompt or instructions. And the way you write those instructions has a massive impact on the feeling of interacting with that AI. So my recommendation to you is if you customize an AI, write a good prompt. Focus on explaining the goals of the AI, what its expertise should be, and how it should behave. And focus on how it should behave in maybe retrieving and presenting information, but also just general interaction guidelines for talking with your users. The second area to focus on is the knowledge. Where is it going to retrieve information? Now, someone actually asked me this just this morning about knowledge. They said, Kyle, why wouldn't we just let the AI search the entire internet? Won't that give us even more information to provide the users? And I thought about that for a minute. And although that is true, that if you just let the AI search the entire internet, you're kind of giving it a maximum window of potential knowledge. There is often knowledge on the internet that you might not necessarily want the AI to train your users on. There's just as much as there's good information and helpful information on the internet, there may also be distracting information on the internet. So I think it's helpful to think about the knowledge more like a filter. This is your ability to distill down from the broader internet what specific websites and knowledge areas you want the AI to use for its information. And this also allows you to cite specific things like internal documents and SharePoint documents. And yeah, no, you're good, Robert. Go ahead and hit play on the video. So this is quickly here. We won't spend the whole 5 minutes on this, but I want to demonstrate just a sample of an early AI that VHB had created to accelerate the rate of learning for our users. And this AI is trained literally on a long paragraph describing the goals, expertise, and behavior, and then 3 or 4 Bentley websites. And that's it. Nothing was hard-coded into this AI agent. Is simply, as I like to say to our users, is simply just a paragraph and a few websites, and now we have a digital coworker. So what's really nice to look at in this video is how I'm talking to the agent and the types of things it's producing. So just like a real coworker, you want to talk to the AI in natural language. Ask it for help to explain things, ask it for help in troubleshooting things, ask it what the best way is to approach a particular workflow. Talk to it like you would talk to a person, and you'll find that consistently, the AI will describe in helpful text with bulleted examples and recommendations, the right things to focus on. It will also provide clickable citations. So this is one of the biggest benefits I've seen in using AI to learn CAD, is the fact that it brings the correct sources on the internet right into the prompt, or right into the answer of the prompt. And it provides the clickable citations in literally a few seconds. So as the users talk to the AI, they ask it questions about their work, and they're clicking on the citations, it's going directly to, in this case, you can see the irregular dispatch tool that I'm asking it for. Even though it took a couple prompts for it to give me the link in this example, it provided me the product documentation on the tool that I asked about and a video. And in the video clip here, you'll see too, I start the same conversation over and ask it again about the irregular dispatch tool. And this time it will nail the question, providing me the information that I was looking for without any follow-up prompts. And maybe kind of a closing note as we move off the video here is this feels so consistent to me with how human neural nets interact with each other, right? How you interact with your coworkers when you're talking about, using Bentley CAD software. How often have you had to maybe repeat a question to someone that they didn't understand quite right the first time because maybe they didn't have all the context or they misunderstood you? I feel like this happens a lot with LLMs. So the more you think about the AI that you're talking with as a digital coworker, and the more you try different ways to speak with it and kind of the way you write your questions and the way you interact with what it gives you as a response, you'll find that it's just like talking to a person, and that it's a little bit of a learned skill, right? And we kind of have to train ourselves off of the search engine optimization that we've all kind of been hard coded for over the last number of years. You really don't want to talk to the AI like it's a search engine. You want to talk to it like it's a person. So I think, Robert, this is probably good enough on the video. We can go ahead and go to the next example of AI for learning. And I think with this too, I will hand it over to Robert. Take it away, Robert.
All right, Scott, I'll quit sharing and you start the video. Here, Kyle's started with Copilot, and most all people are
Here is Bentley's OpenRoads agent. This was created in Google's agent space. Let's give it a prompt. How can I create a graphic filter? Still thinking. Now notice it gives you citations here. If you come down here, it also gives you the sources, pro tips, and here's documentation from Bentley. We've got YouTube videos, documentation from Bentley. Let's give it another prompt. Let's redo it. Do I create a new sheet model in OpenRoads? And as you see, it created method 1, method 2. Gives you the sources over here. So this is pretty good for onboarding anybody. Let's try another one. Let's try to do some videos. Can you show me a video tutor for ramp goers in OpenRoads? Notice it gives you 3 videos on ramps and goers design. All right, Let's see if he can give us some quiz questions. Quiz me on OpenRoads designers, true, false, or multiple choice. You can see the choices, true or false. So it's very good in creating quizzes. And then it also gives you suggestions here. So it's very good in creating little quizzes and stuff.
Okay, before the video started, I wanted to tell you that there's two ecosystems that most people are in. And one is in Microsoft ecosystem. This Copilot that I created was in the Google Agent Space ecosystem. Okay, and I've got another video coming up here. Google Notebooks LM, awesome product. It's free to everybody. Just got to have a Google address. Go to this. This is the great tool for chatting with your PDFs. This example I've got is basically a PDF on navigating E365 courses and registers for the courses. This was done by BDOT. It was just a PDF, and all I did in Notebook LM is dropped it in there, and it created this basically slideshow for you. So Scott, go ahead and play that.
Hey, while we're waiting for that video to load, we'll just take a second to describe what we're about to see with Notebook LM. This is the input of for the prompt that produced this video is simply a PDF, and this is the one that I was kind of alluding to earlier. This is to me an outstanding technology where if you take literally any manual, any document that your organization has been using for training or for educating people, could be on literally any topic, doesn't have to be engineering necessarily. By simply pasting that into Notebook LM and saying, make me an instructional video on this, with one simple prompt, it is processing the entire document, making a presentation on the document, writing a transcript, and generating audio to speak over that transcript. That's it, you guys. Provide a PDF, tell it what you want, and it just makes an entire video for you, narrated by an AI. It's absolute magic. I don't know. Are we going to get this playing, Scott?
Hey, everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into something super useful. VDOT's E365 platform for all that great professional development training. We're going to walk you through exactly how to get registered for courses so you can sign up for whatever you need with, zero headaches. So, are you ready to level up and master some new skills? I mean, whether you're just looking to sharpen the talents you already have or dive into something totally new, this is absolutely where it all begins. So, let's get you started. Awesome. Look, our goal here is super simple. We're going to give you a clear, step-by-step guide through the entire process, from just finding a course all the way to being totally prepared for day one. No confusion, no missteps. It's going to be easy. Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we'll get you signed in. Then we'll find the right course for you, walk through how to enroll, cover what to do once you're approved, and wrap it all up with a quick pre-class checklist. Simple as that. All right, let's kick things off. First things first, right? Before you can become a pro at OpenRoads or anything else, you got to actually get into the system. So let's start with getting you signed in. Okay, so what you're going to do is head over to the Bentley Learn homepage and hit sign in. Now, this part's really important. For your login, just use your standard VDOT email. You know the one, firstname.lastname@v.virginia.gov. Once you're in, look at the top toolbar. You're searching for a link that says Instructor-Led Training. That's your golden ticket right there. It's the gateway to all the available classes. And you're in. See? Easy. Okay, now for the really fun part. Let's go find the perfect course to help you reach your goals. So, finding a course is actually pretty straightforward. You can just use the search bar up top for whatever topic you're interested in, say OpenRoads or modeling. When you see one that looks good, just click on the tile to get all the details. Oh, and definitely pay close attention to the course levels. You'll see things like fundamental, intermediate, or advanced, so you can make sure you're jumping into a class that's the right fit for your skill level. Now, as you're browsing, you might see these little codes next to the classes, like NAU, EMEA, or APAC. And you might be wondering, what the heck are those? Well, they're just region codes for where the class is based. So NAU, that's us, North America. Simple as that.
And that leads me to a really big pro tip here. Trust me on this one. Stick to the NAOU courses. Why? Well, it ensures the class is taught in English, but even more important, it guarantees the class times will show up in your local time zone, which is a huge deal. You don't want to accidentally sign up for a class that starts at 3 a.m. your time.
Okay, success. You've found the perfect course. So what's next? Let's get you enrolled. Now, this part has a couple of...
So Robert, explain how all that was made, so that everyone knows.
Basically, it was really simple. It was a PDF that we had. All I did was drop it into Notebook LM, and there's a little button there that says create a video. I clicked that, boom, it did it all. It is that simple. This is free to everybody. I highly recommend everybody go out and look at this. This is an awesome tool to take your CAD manual, drop it in there, all your CAD manuals, everything, and you can chat with you. You can create mind maps. You can create these videos and stuff. Just an awesome product. So, Kyle, you're up next.
Yeah, well, I'm going to share my screen here real quick, you guys, just to give them some context on Notebook LM.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have a slide for that. So I'm inside Notebook LM here. This is the address for it, just notebooklm.google.com. As Robert mentioned, you could sign up for a free account to get access to this. Now, the one I'm showing is actually a paid one, my personal paid account for Notebook LM, but this is what it looks like when you're inside of it. And it just gives you the ability to create these custom notebooks that you could add any type of content to, and it will build these customized AI agents for you that you can interact with. So the thing that you just saw from Robert, that video was actually generated by uploading some content into Notebook LM here, and it created a video for him. So for example, let's take a look at just like one of the ones I've created from one of our Premier Scholar Master classes that we did earlier this year. So earlier this year, Kyle came in and did a Premier Scholar Master class for us. So he had a whole video that I just uploaded into here. And then once I uploaded that video into here, it creates kind of a briefing document or a briefing agent, if you will. So that automatically generates an agent that we can start chatting with based on the information that you've uploaded into the system here. It also creates some study guides and some FAQs and a briefing document. And then also it can create an audio overview, a podcast style audio overview of the information that's been uploaded, as well as the video overview, which is what Robert just showed in his example. So that whole video that you just saw was automatically generated by this Notebook LM platform based on the information that was uploaded into the system. So it's very easy to use. You can share these notebooks with other people as well. So very powerful stuff. So I turn it back over to Kyle now. I just want to give you guys some context on how this is actually done. Again, it's super easy. Just go to notebooklmgoogle.com, and then you can sign into the account, or you can get one of the paid accounts to get more of the advanced features.
Let's linger on that just a moment, because there's a few questions in our chat about it. Scott, to retrieve the video or whatever you generate out of Notebook LM, is there just an export or a download button to grab the content?
Yes, there is.
Yes.
Super easy, right? And there was a question that I think you could probably answer, Robert, about what the PDF looked like that you made that video from. I mean, it was just kind of a boring old PDF, right?
Yes.
Was there anything special about it?
Let me bring it up and I'll show you.
I'll go ahead and just cover this bit about agents while you're looking for that. So, you guys, even just seeing those examples so far, right? AIs that read text on the internet and help distill these massive amounts of information down to the user to help them understand the tools they're using and increase their rate of learning. And then with examples like Notebook LM, you're taking text in a different format, right? You're taking it from just like a manual that you're using, and it's really expanding that one piece of knowledge out to be this much more interesting kind of interactive content for you to engage with. These are pretty incredible uses of AI that you guys can use today. I think that's really the big takeaway, right? This is stuff that's already on the market today. So the barrier to using these is very low, right? This stuff is available right now. I want to talk a little bit about kind of where the edge cases are of using AI. You guys have probably heard agents so many times this year, and agentic AI is really the next level of using an AI model that goes beyond text, right? So we want to spend a little bit of time in this session to talk about what is beyond text in AI that will transform the way we learn and even the way we work more significantly in the future. The three pieces I want to touch on that, and there may be more than three, but I want to touch on these three pieces as the pieces that I would pay attention to in the developing landscape of agentic AI. The first is vision, right? As a human, your neural net is very good at interpreting pixels and interpreting photons, right? You look in reality, photons go in, and your human neural net processes those photons into knowledge. Same thing when you look at a CAD screen, when you read a PDF, you are interpreting the pixels that you're looking at. And it is a very effective way for you to navigate your day-to-day work and navigate the tools that you use at work. So AI is getting that too, right? AI is getting vision. And you're seeing it with multimodal features in AI agents. It's even available now in somewhat limited formats where you can, say, upload a picture. I had that play a little bit in my Copilot video where I pasted a picture and said, explain this. So multimodal capabilities with vision is one area where AI will truly become agentic and useful. Voice is the second one. Being able to interpret audio waves, right, and convert that into knowledge. That combined with vision really starts to improve the bit rate at which an AI can absorb information at the same rate that a human can. So think about that. With vision and voice together, an AI could actually watch a YouTube video, right? Not just read the transcript of a YouTube video. It could watch the video and understand what is being said at the same time as what the pixels are showing on the screen and convert both of those bit streams into knowledge, right? So think about all the videos you've ever recorded in your organization. As soon as you have an AI agent that has the capabilities of both vision and voice, you will be able to give those videos to the AI, and it will be able to watch them just like a human would watch them. The third piece is tool use, being able to actually take actions. So this is, you think about, as a human, you combine all three of these, right? You look with your eyes, you listen with your ears, and you use your hands to operate a keyboard and mouse to manipulate, CAD elements in a computer program. So that third piece for an AI is gaining the ability to actually take actions with your permission on your behalf to actually do things in CAD software. So what we want to show next is just one of these three things. We want to demonstrate an AI model that's out right now that has vision. So Robert, could you play the Google AI Studio video?
Okay. I'll stop sharing and
I'll
Scott,
go do it.
can you play?
Yeah, hopefully it'll play the right one.
The thing about
I can't
this,
see.
this is a Google AI Studio. This is another free
This is
product.
Google AI Studio screen sharing. What do I have on the screen?
You have a 3D model open in a CAD program. It looks like you're working on a surface modeling task. There are two main views displayed, a top view and an isometric view of the same shape.
In View 2, how do I create a wireframe?
To create a wireframe display in View 2, you should look for a display style option, usually located in the view controls or toolbar. Select the wireframe display mode from the available options.
Is this the right location?
Yes, the option you clicked on, which changed the display to wireframe, is the correct location. You can now see the wireframe representation of the model.
How do I change the color of the model?
To change the color of the model, you'll likely need to access the Element Properties or Symbology mode settings. Look for a tool or menu option that allows you to modify the properties of the selected element, including its color.
Is this the location to change the color?
Yes, the Properties window you've opened, which shows the color option, is the correct place to change the model's color. You can select a new color from there.
How do I create a solid slab?
To create a solid slab, you'll need to use the solid modeling tools. Look for a tool like Slab or Extrusion, which allows you to create a solid shape from a 2D profile or boundary.
Is this correct?
Yes, clicking on the slab option is the correct action to create a solid slab. You can now define the parameters for the slab.
All right, that's the end of the video there.
Okay, get back to sharing. And again, that is just basically a free. It's Google AI Studio. You can go and sign up. It's free for everybody. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring
how
that
about that,
PDF
you guys?
I'm going to bring this PDF that the question had. Here is, hopefully y'all can see this. All right, let's try it again. Okay. Okay, there's the PDF that I made the video from. As you can see, it's just very simple PDF. Just and all I did was drop that into Notebook LM and tell it to make a video. As you can tell, very simple, very awesome product. All right, let's go back to the slide.
Yeah, this is pretty amazing, you guys. And it's still early days, right? There's still things that, you could probably tell, like in the Google AI Studio, it's not exactly like it was the fastest way to go use CAD. But the fact that it was able to interpret the pixels, understand, and I said just vision, it was really voice and vision you were seeing there. That the fact that it was able to interpret the pixels and listen to what Robert was telling it and asking it and produce a correct response, this is demonstrating the potential for this future of agentic AI. So just kind of like in closing here, we got just a couple more things to show you guys, and we want to try to take some questions as well. I want to talk just for a minute about where this trend line is going, right? AI brings an immense increase to the output of a CAD user, especially when you think about those agentic capabilities, right? Think about how, like a good example is you think about how often you've ever had someone, message you on Teams and they said, hey, could you help me with something, right? Do you have a few minutes? It's usually how it starts. And you get on a screen share with that person, and you're listening to them describe what's going on, and they're showing you the picks and clicks that they're going through on the screen. And it's the combination of what you see combined with your inherent knowledge as a CAD user that you're able to help troubleshoot the issue for that other user. And you're going to have, in the very near future, these really super powered AI agents that can do that with you. So instead of going off to the side and kind of texting to your bot about how to do this or that in the CAD software, you'll simply just call it like you would call me or another CAD user, and just said, hey, take a look at this. Help me understand what I'm doing. And the iteration that you'll have with such an AI will feel like magic. It will truly feel like a digital coworker. The reason why we should relentlessly pursue this in our industry is because of what it does for our workforce, right? It allows you to focus a much higher percent of your time actually thinking about the design of your project, right? Ultimately, what we should all be hoping for is CAD software that has no learning curve, right? You should be able to show up to do a day's work where you are focused on producing a outcome, right? You are there to produce a set of plans or produce a model to solve some design challenge. And the AI is going to help you do those things faster than ever before, right? And it's important to remind ourselves that it is the intention of everyone to keep a human in the loop. If you're a practicing engineer, you still have to be an engineer, right? If you're not a practicing engineer and you're a CAD designer, it is just going to allow you to produce a lot more output for the same given time input. So you just think like what you'd be able to produce in a day's work would just be much greater. And this is a very similar jump that we made, 40 some years ago when we went from paper drafting to personal computers. This jump is just happening much faster than that jump did. And I think on that note, we want to just kind of acknowledge again that, Bentley is on the side of AI in the industry, right? They made major announcements last month about AI integrations coming into their products, which will display some elements of agency, right? You're going to have AI that is right inside the design applications that will understand a little bit about the data that you're trying to create. So the future is going to be fantastic, you guys. And this is something that we all should be very excited about embracing. And you can start today by just focusing on how you learn, right? So kind of going all the way back to the beginning, that's really the place to start. And now the final thing we want to show you, and I'll kind of kick it over to Scott and Rob here, but I want you to imagine for a moment, if you've ever had someone in your company that possessed, decades of knowledge, a person that you thought, I don't know what I would ever do if that person retired. What if we could start to capture all of that knowledge from our best people and capture that knowledge in a AI agent that could live on forever? And with that, I think you guys know where we're going with this, but I'll kick it over to Scott and Rob.
All right. So many of you probably on this call are familiar with Chuck Lawson that used to work here at Bentley. Chuck was in the engineering world, working at Bentley for almost 30 years or so, and he just recently retired. He was our workspace expert. He knew everything about the workspace. But since he retired, we obviously don't have his knowledge anymore. But before he retired, I was having some conversations with Chuck, and I said, well, what if we could create a virtual version of you, Chuck, using some of these AI tools that we have at our disposal these days? That time I had been playing around with Notebook LM and Microsoft Copilot, and I was becoming very apparent to me that we could probably do this in one way, shape, or form if I had enough data from Chuck, right? So Chuck's got over 30 years of experience. He's a very detailed oriented guy. He made a lot of detailed training videos, documents, all kinds of things like that, right? So I asked Chuck to send me some of his info, which he did. And I did some testing inside of Notebook LM to start. So I'm going to just kind of want to share with you just some of the things that we're doing here, what I'm doing internally to help some of our internal colleagues replace Chuck, or at least maintain his knowledge, if you will. Chuck is actually super excited about this little endeavor, so he recorded a little video for me. So I'm going to play this real quick before I jump into the actual software and show you some of the things that I'm doing here.
Hello, and welcome to the Chuck Lawson Virtual Workspace Assistant. Just when you thought you got rid of me, the question is, am I retired? Am I real? Or am I just residing inside your computer? You may never know. But hey, hopefully you'll get the answers you're looking for.
All right, so I had Chuck record that video for me. And one of the reasons I had him record that video for me is because I want to embed that in one of my agents that I'm making, right? So I have a couple agents that I'm making that are based on Chuck's information and data. So I just wanted to share this with you to show you guys basically how easy this is to do. So let me go ahead and share my screen here. I'm going to go into my Notebook LM version of this. I'll show that one first. Okay, so hopefully you could see Notebook LM is open here, and you could see all the different notebooks that I've been creating over the last several months. I'm going to go over here to my virtual Chuck Lawson Workspace Assistant agent that I've created here. So this one was created by just gathering some information from Chuck. So before Chuck retired, he sent me some of his PDFs. I pulled some of his coffee corner videos that he had done for us over the last year or so, some text files, just some random information that was basically related anything to the OpenRoads workspace, because this was the problem I was trying to solve, right? I want to be able to get questions or get answers to some of the most commonly asked questions about the OpenRoads workspace. I uploaded all this data in here. It configured the agent for me. It gives me a little summary over here of the agent. And then now at this point, I could start asking it questions. So for example, I have a question here. How should the workspace hierarchy, including organization, civil, and work sets be structured for OpenRoads Designer, right? That's one of the questions I can ask the agent, right? And it's going to go through. It's going to read all of Chuck's information that he gave me. And hopefully it's going to give me a Chuck-like answer from his information. So here you can see there very quickly, it gave me a nice detailed answer just like Chuck would give me. So Chuck's legacy still lives on with his data that we have here. Now, in addition to this, we can create a video version of it like Robert was showing with his training video there. We can make an audio overview podcast of this. We could have it create an FAQ, a study guide, a briefing doc. So just based on all this information that's been uploaded in here, creates the agent, creates some of this other content for us automatically based on all that stuff that's been uploaded into the system here, right? So now this is just using Notebook LM, right? Now we could take this a step further. So that little video that I actually showed you earlier, we can actually embed that video into something like Microsoft Copilot Studio. So here, this is an example here where we can create a similar type of agent, but with more advanced features and functionality, right? If you ever have used Microsoft Copilot, just the free version, anybody can go out on the internet and type in Copilot.com and get some simple answers for certain things. But in this particular case, we're making a very customizable Ask Chuck agent, if you will. So you can see here, I actually titled this particular agent Ask Chuck. I've embedded the video in here, and one of the reasons why I embedded the video is so that when users come to ask Chuck a question, they can launch his little video and he'll greet them. So you could come in here again, ask it a question, and it'll go through and it'll scour his information that I've uploaded into the system, right? So the nice thing about this too is once you're inside Copilot Studio, you could publish it to other Microsoft apps, right? So right now, this particular Ask Chuck app that I've made, this is only internal use, by the way. This isn't something that's Bentley's, that you can buy from Bentley or anything like that. This is just for our own internal learning purposes and things like that. But you could see here, I could have it published to Teams channels, to SharePoint sites, demo websites, just the regular Microsoft 365 Copilot. So And just as far as like just adding the knowledge, again, it's super easy to build a lot of these types of agents. You know, just kind of go over to the knowledge tab here and you just start uploading website links, you know, PowerPoints, PDFs, Word docs, whatever you got. You just upload it into the knowledge base here. And then if you need to do some more advanced features, you can always go to some of these other functions or some of these other tools in here to further refine the your agent. But this particular one, again, this is just based on some very basic information that I had from Chuck just to kind of, you know, do a proof of concept with this whole agent here. But you can see how this can be very helpful for especially somebody that's in a support role, right? If you do a lot of technical support, you know, and you know, like Kyle said, you know, you have somebody that retires from your company or leaves your company that had all this wealth of knowledge, you know, well, if you still have some of their data, right, you could easily kind of replace them in some ways, right? Not going to say they're going to replace the human actually, but you know, at least some of their knowledge can be somewhat replicated in some ways, right? So if we go over here to see what this would look like on the front end, so this is the back end. This is how you actually kind of configure it, create it, publish it, tell it what other apps you want to publish it to. Like I said, this one's going to be, we could publish it to, I currently have it set up to be published to Teams, so it can be found as a Teams app or as just a regular chat with just regular Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you're just using Microsoft 365 Copilot, for example, you know, I could come in here and just starting asking a question about the workspace. So for example, you know, this is a common question we get, you know, can a 2023 workspace work in the 2024 version of OpenRoads? So let's see what Chuck says about that, right? So we can come in here and ask Chuck that question, and hopefully he's going to give us a good answer, right? And again, these answers are only as good as the data that's been uploaded into the agent, right? So keep that in mind, you know, when you're using these agents. You know, almost every agent that you use is going to have some type of little disclaimer, right? And you can see that down here at the very bottom, right underneath the input window here. It says AI generated content may be incorrect, right? And why do they put that there? Because, you know, they don't know what information is correct or not correct. It only takes the information that you have, scours that information, and serves it up to you, right? So it's about the whole concept of garbage in, garbage out, right? If you give it bad information, it's probably not going to give you the right information back. So just keep that in mind. Always read these little prompts, and you know, always double check the AI. It's always critical that you double check the AI and just don't assume that they're always going to be giving you the right results. But a lot of times they will give you links to like the source documentation, so you can go back and kind of double check it or see where they're pulling this data from. Like this particular example here. It's actually going in, it was reading some of the PDFs and some of the other documents that I had uploaded into the actual agent. So just a way to take it to that next level. And like I said, this can be really beneficial for someone that does technical support, you know, because if you upload enough questions, common questions and answers from just like multiple sources, right? From whether it's human sources or just PDFs, videos, whatever it may be, you can build this such a large learning database that you know, could serve up answers very quickly.
One I want to add on to that, Scott, is exception logs. If you guys have ever had a crash and you know it writes that exception log to your app data folder, you could drag that into just generic Copilot or any of the chat bots that are out there. Just try dragging your exception log next time you have a crash into an AI and watch how beautifully it explains what happened, what likely caused the crash, and what it will recommend that you do to avoid the crash in the future. It's really mind-blowing. I mean, I've showed that internally to people at Bentley on the product team, and they were just like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing tool. I think we are at the top of the hour here. Scott, I wanted to ask you a question real quick.
Yeah.
You know, this is all happening so fast, and I feel like the period of discovery, like, you know, you think about the first day you found out about some of these platforms. I think about the first day I found out about Copilot Studio. This has all happened within the span of a couple of years. So I think one point to make for the audience here is that unlike CAD software, which has a long learning curve, learning how to use these AI agents is actually really fast. You will not have a big learning curve to come figure out these agent platforms. If it looks like, Scott and Robert and I have found our way around all these sites, it's just because we've, spent some time tinkering with them. I think that you can become actually a very useful user configuring AI agents at your company with a relatively small amount of time investment.
Then the other thing I want to say too here, I just want to share a quote from the CEO of NVIDIA. Because we have a lot of people that are afraid of AI. They're afraid to use it. They don't want to use it. They think it's going to replace or take jobs away from someone, right? But if you look at his quote here, he says, "You won't lose your job to an AI, but you're going to lose your job to someone who uses AI," right? So think about that. You won't lose your job to an actual AI, but you're going to lose your job to someone who uses it, right? So similarly, your company won't fail because of AI, but because another company uses it better, right? So just kind of wrap your head around that quote. That's such a great quote when it comes to AI, because there are so many people that still don't understand it, and there are so many people that think that it may take their job away. But you still need someone to create the base content to feed into these systems. So it's not like those content creators would go away necessarily. I always kind of think of the AI as being like a digital or just your virtual engineering assistant to help you solve a particular problem, right? It's like having an extra set of hands, if you will, right? Or an intern at your disposal, right? You just kind of configure the agent and hopefully it can help you out with some tasks.
Yeah. Scott, there's a really good question too. I agree with that, by the way. Every major technology innovation that's occurred in society draws that type of line, right? Where it's like, if it gives you a real competitive advantage, you will see over time a big difference between those who embrace the technology and those that do not. And I think it feels very certain at this point that AI is one of those disruption technologies, or disruptive technologies. There's a question in the chat about security, and I think it's worth mentioning that, like, what does security play a role in all this? How do you even know which AI to try to use? I will tell you, at VHB, we did not start using AI internally until we published a responsible AI use policy. I know there's a couple of folks from DOT agencies in the call, and you may or may not have access to some of these AI platforms. We encourage everyone to start with that conversation. What is the acceptable amount of risk that your agency is willing to take with artificial intelligence? And what types of safeguards do you need to have on your data? For many people, and this is why I started with Microsoft's Copilot Studio, we had to have our data stay inside of our environment. So it was not acceptable to really be going out to the public AIs to put in any type of specific project requests or anything of that nature. But inside of our walled data environment, we do have Microsoft Copilot. We have Copilot Studio, where our queries and the information we interact with the AI stays inside of our organization. And that is an important thing. That's why I did not use another AI platform, and I used the Copilot Studio. So I think everyone will have to navigate that in their organizations. That's just kind of a fact of reality with adopting this technology. So you need to start with that responsible use policy. Know what the boundaries are and work within them. That is probably the responsible way to approach this topic. I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that. Like, what are the policies like at Bentley for using AI?
Yeah, because even here at Bentley, it's pretty strict. Like, we're not allowed to use Chat GPT. We're only allowed to use Microsoft Copilot and some other things. So yeah, I mean, and it's all about privacy and security and risk and all those kinds of things. So that is definitely one of the things you want to look at when you first start diving into some of these AI apps. Create a plan. Try to figure out the business problem that you're trying to solve with these AI apps and implement some type of policy, because I think there was someone else that was asking about uploading confidential information into some of these apps, right? Obviously, if it's a public facing app, hopefully you're not gonna upload confidential information into a publicly facing app. But if it's a internally secure AI agent, then that's probably okay to do that. But again, with any of these AI apps, you do have to take into consideration, the impact on security and privacy and all those kinds of things. And just one other thing too, again, I want to just point out, all these little disclaimers that always show up in these little agents and apps, right, for AI. And I'll point it out here on this one, because again, if you could see my screen still, right underneath this Chuck video, right underneath the input box, again, there's another disclaimer. Make sure AI generated content is accurate and appropriate before using. See the terms. Always pay attention to that stuff. Don't just assume these things are just 100% correct every single time without doing a little bit of QA on the information. So just want to kind of wrap it up with that. Any other closing thoughts from you guys?
Just remember,
great stuff.
The free versions of Google is public. That information will go to Google. So be aware of that.